Hello, welcome back to A Spiritual Ascension, my own 5-year journey. So I haven't done a video, even though you guys can't tell. I haven't done a video in the last couple of days because it's just the past one. If you are watching this in sequence, it was a little bit too much for me, kind of taking me back to that time. And so I kind of had to take a little bit of a break just to regroup. But when I left off, the last video is entitled My Very Own Karmic. And a lot of people, when they refer to that wording of karmic, it's always this like third party within a like twin flame relationship, which is not um, necessarily the case. A karmic is anyone that you have a soul contract with that you still need to work out some kind of karma with from a past life. And in this case, um, this person who had family member who had been in my life for a very long time and who I deeply loved and deeply cared for and I took care of for many years. Um, Understand that the universe always wants balance in everything. So if you are doing too much for someone, the universe is going to flip that at some point because you can't go through life without balance. That's why we have the scales of justice, right? There has to be balance in everything. So if someone commits a crime against a person, they have to pay for their crime. Okay. There always has to be balance. So if you weren't able to balance those scales of justice, the universe wasn't in the previous lifetime that you had with them, that person's going to come back into your life in order for that balance to take place. Okay. Um, it could happen within that lifetime or it can happen within the next lifetime. In this lifetime, if you are on your ascension journey, you have to get rid of all your bad karma. Okay. That's the only way that you'll ascend. So, this person who came back into my life to play a very big part, um, and I needed to work out this karma with her. I had given to her and given to her and given to her, but now it was time for her to, in a way, repay what I had done, things that I had provided for her. So it was still during this, international epidemic period of 2020, 2021. And I was being, if you've seen one of my videos, I call it spiritual paralysis, where the universe keeps you in place so that, whatever you need to work out, or if the universe needs to make ready something for you, to bring something or manifest into your life, sometimes they want to keep you in one place so that that can come through. Or in this instance, I needed to work out this karma with my family member, which was my karmic. And until that was worked out, the scales were balanced. I wasn't going to be able to leave that situation. So I kind of was in this spiritual paralysis of being held there at her home. And she made sure that I knew that it was her home. Um, Things had gotten really bad and abusive towards me at this point. Um, I was helping her take care of her kids, and I had gone into a very deep, dark night of the soul because I didn't understand why I couldn't get out of this situation. Um, she kind of refused to do. It was kind of like, I'll feed you and give you shelter, but like that's it. And if you've watched my previous video, you'll understand that I did so much for this person, um, especially monetarily. It came to a point where not only did I feel trapped, but I knew eventually there was going to have to be a way out of this. And I didn't know how that was going to happen. And I had no money to leave and nowhere to go. And I already kind of explained that every person in my previous life, remember, two lives within one lifetime, in my first life was slowly leaving. My best friend, who I had for over 20 years, I had to remove that person from my life. All my family members were eventually leaving. And I was now going towards the middle of this 5 year journey. Okay. So we're now approaching, we're over 2 years, about the 2 year mark. Um, when a gentleman I had met maybe a year and a half before that, I knew someone was coming to my life. My father had told me that a soulmate would be coming into my life. And I had felt that energy. And I had met him, and we never had really got together, but we were talking over phone. I was helping him out kind of spiritually, to lift him up. He was going through a divorce when I first met him over a year before that. And all of a sudden, out of the blue one day, he had contacted me. Now that we're about at the 2 year mark of my journey. He had contacted me one day and he had said he had just lost his daughter. And it was a really bad situation. I believe down in, was it North Carolina? I believe down in North Carolina. He says, I have to go down there and, go through her car and make sure there's nothing in the car before they, um, you know, put it into the junkyard or something like that. And he asked me if I wanted to go with him down there. And I was like, yeah, are you kidding me? I'm like locked in this prison, really, that I can't seem to get out of. And to have the opportunity to travel somewhere, um, I was like overwhelmed with joy at this point. I had gone so far deep into this dark night of the soul that I know later on, during my research, understanding that the universe will sometimes have to reach down and kind of pull you out of a situation or intervene when something gets so bad and dark. Okay. And I also was so deep into the 5D that I was in grounding myself. Okay. In order to protect myself from what was going on around me with this kind of abusive situation, this kind of being held in place, I didn't feel like there was any way out of this. And it was a long way from where I had just been 3 years ago of living this life, on Wall Street in Manhattan and having this beautiful apartment and everything. I was so far away from that. Understand too, if you're on this journey, your entire life has to be stripped away. everything that was of your past is going to be gone. And I think that's part of the hardest thing, not only, like I said, family and friends, but all of your probably material things that you've had. Um, and I think that was part of the hardest thing. So now, too, I think I've done a video on mental health and spirituality. When people are now looking at me to know the kind of life that I once led, and now to look at me and say, like, what's wrong with her? She's not who she used to be. And I kind of felt like this person whose house I was in was kind of looking for a way to blame it on a mental health issue. And I think that's a hard thing, is when you yourself know you're going through a spiritual change, but other people don't understand what that is, what's going on with you. Anyway, um, this gentleman had said, I have to ride down here. Would you like to take the ride with me? And he says, I'm coming right back. And I was like, oh my God, yes, thank you. So um, we left early morning, and we get about halfway down. And the thing was, like, I hadn't been anywhere in so long. Um, the end of 2019, just before my um, journey started, I had gone out to Chicago. And earlier in 2019, I had gone to Japan. So I hadn't been anywhere in so long, but just to be able to ride in the car, get out at a rest stop, and just gonna go into like a restaurant and have a meal and see the green grass and the trees. And it was so grounding for me. And I was just so thankful to him to have asked me to come with him. Halfway down, he realized he had forgot his daughter's death certificate. And so we had to end up going all the way back. Dropped me off, and he says, okay, probably next weekend I'll have to go down again because I have to get this done. So I said, fine, I'll go with you again. And that brought that right there, just that ride, kind of pulled me out of this this darkness that I had been in. And it kind of gave me hope that eventually I know I can get out of this situation. I was also able to talk to him about what was going on. And he kind of gave me some, ideas as far as, like, you may have to take drastic measures as far as like just walking away from that situation, even though you don't have anything to fall back on. So then the next weekend, we ended up riding back down just to see, again, to be out there in the greenery, the grass, the hills, the mountains, um, just a beautiful sight. And it kind of, like I said, gave me hope. Now, this is around June of 2022, and we're now just over 2 years of me being in this situation of staying with this person who I now knew that I no longer wanted them to be any part of my life, and that the scales now had been balanced because of everything I had done for her previously. She now, in a way, had to take care of me, and the universe was balancing those scales. But it was time for me to get ready to prepare to leave that situation. And in the next video, I'll go into more about that preparation and what that was like, okay? So thank you for listening. I will see you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. and I'll see you next time.